pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone to the meeting.
Thank you.
Roll call. Diane.
Mr. Douglas.
Here.
Mr. Ducat.
Here.
Mr. Bruno.
Here.
I'm here.
As always.
Mr. McDonald.
Here.
Our attorney, Mr. Favreau. Secretary, confidential secretary of the board and deputy town clerk, Ms. Barber. Highway superintendent, Mr. Farrell. Mr. Tatro, superintendent of water and sewer. Mr. Jarvis, deputy highway superintendent. Mr. Gwinnett, zoning officer. Mr. Chaka, DCO, so I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and our guests, and Ms. Nurska, our historian.
Okay.
Kristen Marino has to be excused.
Excuse me, and Kristen Marino has sent an email to be excused due to family commitments.
Thank you.
I know our town collector text.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
Oh. Wonderful.
Okay. I need a motion to accept the dog control officer's report that we have here.
Baker. Second it.
Second. Any discussion before we accept it? Not? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I need a motion and a second to accept the regular board meeting of March 25th.
Ooh, I'll make that motion.
Craig made the motion. I'll second. Give it to Eric. Second. Any discussion on it? Good, Diane. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion and a second for the special meeting of April 10th, the short one.
I'll make that motion.
Mel made the motion. Jim second. Any discussion on that?
No.
Not? Sweet, thank you, Diane. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Committee, didn't anybody sign up? Anybody want to speak?
Thank you.
Okay. We're moving on to our resolutions. I need a motion and a second for resolution naming Carpenter Flats Bridge after Trooper Christopher Garrow. Sabo did this and they asked us to do it, Billy Jones and everything, and then it goes to the state and then they will. So, any discussion more on this at all?
Nope.
Did you say Sable did it?
Sabo did it, yep. Town of Sabo did it. We're doing it, seeing it borders Peru and Sabo.
Okay, so it's all together.
Yep. Jim, you made the motion, Eric second, or Eric made the motion? Eric made the motion.
Yeah.
Second it, Jim second. Resolution Matt.
A resolution dedicating the Carpenter's Flats Bridge in the town of Peru, Clinton County, New York, NYS DOT number 1005970, to be renamed the Captain Christopher J. Garrow Memorial Bridge. Whereas Captain Garrow was 47 years old and entered division service on October 30th, 2000, serving over 22 years primarily in the Clinton County area. He was most recently assigned to Troop 8, Zone 3 in Lewis, New York, serving as the Assistant Zone Commander. Whereas Captain Garrow dedicated his life and work to protecting and serving his local community and the people of the state of New York. His 22-year career of service was marked by distinction and honor. He received numerous awards and accolades for his outstanding performance. Whereas on June 2nd, 2023, Captain Christopher J. Garrow, Peru, New York, passed away from an illness stemming from his assignment at the World Trade Center site following the terrorist attack on September 11, 2001. Captain Garrow responded to New York City as a member of the New York State Police to aid in the search and recovery efforts. Whereas Captain Garrow showed unwavering commitment to public safety and a willingness to sacrifice his safety and ultimately his life for the sake of his fellow citizens. During his assignment at the World Trade Center site, he was always cognizant of the hazards and risks he faced each day, but he steadfastly performed his duties, motivated only by the desire to fulfill the mission of the New York State Police to serve and protect the public. During his final year of life battling stage 4 cancer, Captain Garrow always remained positive and upbeat and was determined to beat his cancer and return to duty. Now therefore be it resolved, in memory and honor of Captain Christopher J. Garrow's many years of dedicated service to his community and the citizens of New York State and his ultimate sacrifice, we request that the bridge that traverses the Sable River on State Route 9, known locally as the Carpenter Flats Bridge, in the town of Peru, Clinton County, New York, New York State DOT number 1005970, be named the quote, Captain Christopher J. Garrow Memorial Bridge, close quote, and be resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Any discussion?
Mr. Irwin?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Duquette?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
And Mr. McDonald?
Yes. And Pam will get that over, or I will get it over to Billy Jones tomorrow. He has legislation, I think, on Wednesday of this week, that he's gonna
Certified?
present this.
Certified? Certified?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, number 8. I need a motion and a second for a resolution for declaring the town as lead agency for the water treatment plant project. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
Mel?
I'll second.
Second by Eric. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think our roll call is out of order.
Oops, sorry about that.
That was when she had to
Sorry,
rush.
Mr. Duquette.
She just had, she had to rush and do it 5 minutes before the meeting.
Good thing I read that one.
Guess what, Greg? It would have been fixed. She and I would have.
Yes, you saved me, Craig, thank you. That's your job.
You'll be last then.
Any other discussion? If not, I need a motion and a second for the resolution, which we got already from Mel and Eric. Resolution, Matt.
A resolution declaring the town as lead agency and secret negative declaration, whereas the town board of the town of Peru is considering action by the town of Peru planning board to amend the zoning map dated 12/23/13.
Oh, no.
You print the wrong one? Okay,
That's why.
Please hold.
please,
No, just go on.
just hold on.
That's why I got
Sorry.
You want us to go on to the next one, Pam?
Sure.
29.
Okay. Let's table that. I need a motion to table for a minute. Jim made the motion, Mel second. All in favor?
Aye.
So we table that one, we're gonna go on to number 9. Number 9. I need a motion and a second to accept the new change to the handbook on sick time. Motion and a second.
If we're gonna change this in the near future to all the hours, do we need to go through with this?
What's that?
If we're gonna make all the hours floating, do we need to go through with this stuff? Yeah, we just said we're gonna make all the hours, the sick hours, the vacation hours. No, we were
I
talking
don't
about
think
it
it has
before.
to, no, I don't
No,
think it
no,
has
no,
to do
this
with that.
has to do with what Matt talked to us last time
Okay,
about more than 3 days that need a sick note, not
okay,
maybe required, but will need a sick note,
gotcha,
that Matt talked to us last time about.
okay,
That's only has to do with this. We are gonna have another change eventually down the road where Mike asked us years ago when his guys had so many guys that were veterans that had a lot of time on the books. He went from 80 to 60 hours comp time. That's a different change.
Yep.
You want to go back from 60 to 80 for everybody, seeing that
Yeah,
he doesn't
no.
have all the veterans and a lot of people aren't taking off at once now.
Yep.
But this is a separate thing.
right on, go for it.
So I need
I'll make a
a
motion,
motion and a second. Any discussion about this at all from anyone?
just had it.
Well,
No, I'm just saying, we're just striking the one word, maybe, and required.
Yes. If everyone is in
take a
favor.
discussion from others.
Yeah.
If you're changing it from may to
Will?
will,
Yeah.
who determines it?
What?
Who determines if they have to?
It
We're
will,
gonna make it so will for any.
it will
So if they're
be,
3 days out more, they have to have a doctor's note.
yes. It will be required.
Can we increase those days maybe some? Because, you know, I just know, a lot of times there's a sickness that probably doesn't necessarily require a doctor's note, and you're gonna incur costs upon the employees to have to go to the doctors.
That's policy though.
It says may now, Diane, okay, and I had asked this
It has
question.
nothing to-
I'm answering her question, she just said, so I'm just addressing her. It says may now, and I had questioned this before.
Yeah,
Who determines if they need to know?
Usually
I was told
everybody
the
does.
supervisor of the department is what I was told.
right.
Okay. That's just my question. Sometimes people have issues in life, either medically or other reasons.
Right.
And I think the department heads know their employees best.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think some information is pertinent, have to be passed on between everybody in the town hall building.
I agree.
When you get a doctor's note, it doesn't say what the doctor's note
But
is
you know, now it's
for.
not as cheap to go to the doctor. So if somebody has the flu, I'd much rather them, if they stay home an extra day, rather than go to the doctors and incur a cost, because a lot of times you have to pay your deductible now.
Right, I agree.
I'm gonna bump my 2 cents in, and I'm gonna, I guess, butt heads here. I've always required
We all
a
have.
doctor's note on the 3rd, always. That's the way I was told.
So, yep, and it
If
says
they
May.
don't wanna do that, the
And-
way I look at it, they got enough other time.
So explain something to me now if we're gonna get into this whole sick time thing. So I accidentally gave an employee bereavement time when they didn't deserve it. It was brought to my attention, I corrected it, he wanted to use his sick time. It says last year he's getting done. I was told by you, he's not sick, he can't use it. But you allowed Daryl Martineau to take Thursdays and Fridays off
And he,
to burn his sick time because they were getting done work.
but 2
And
days.
on 2 days a week, yes,
days
but
a week.
still, if they weren't sick. And I
You're
allowed,
the one who told me.
listen, and I allowed an employee to do the same thing. He used his sick time on Fridays to burn his time as he was getting done.
Well, first of all, nobody ever knew that he was getting done. Second of all, you're the one who told me last week, a lot of us
No, I said
misuse our-
myself personally, and I'll say that right on the record. I use my sick time, there's times I'm not sick, I use my sick time. You know what? I've worked here since '96.
I'm not talking about you,
I've
but
been a good employee, I've banked all my hours. I personally feel it's my benefit. If I want to take a day off to do something with my family and I want to use my sick time, I'm gonna do it.
Which no one's arguing at that at all.
I mean, this stuff is getting all blown out of proportion.
Well, any day, any other business or any other kind of town has a 3-day sick day policy. You're sick for 3 days, teachers have it, businesses have it, Eric, I'm sure, has it in his job line of duty of, you know, what he does for his workers. The problem is, when you say may be required, 1 week somebody might be required, the next week someone might not be required. So this, to me, it eliminates everybody is required. Bob was out not too long ago, Bob brought a sick note in the 3rd day, after the 3rd day.
That's because it's Bob.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, Bob brought one in, he wasn't required to bring it in, we didn't tell him he had to bring it
I
in.
mean, he was required to bring it in, but we didn't have to tell him because it's in the handbook.
And then Pam also was out, she brought a sick note
Okay.
in. I just think if we put, it says May now, but I think if we get away from the May, we'll be all better set down the road, because what if next week, you know, I'm not picking on you, but say if like next week, Tyler calls in sick 4 days in a row. He requires him to have a sick note. But then Wayne calls in 4 days next week, and you say, no, Wayne, you don't need one. To me, this eliminates that.
No, and if you go back to the budgets, and I know I've talked to Jim about this several times, because I think both sides have good employees that don't abuse it. And I'd asked about a buyout, like the school does, and their retirement, so, and I don't blame a guy for wanting to use the sick time, especially if he's a good employee, because it's kind of, when you buy it out, to me, that's a reward for being a good employee, not abusing it, you know, and I talked about this, you know, several budgets, actually, even before Courtney took over, you know, talked about that. We never got it.
Yeah, town gives you nothing to keep your sick time. Yes, it's an insurance policy if you get sick, but if you want to get done, they don't pay you anything for it. Town gives you nothing. You die, your spouse gets nothing for it.
In the near future, we're gonna be changing some of this anyways. I think you'll find it to your benefit if you just hang on and just let us pass this one and see what goes with the rest of it.
I mean, let us pass this. It's the way
And
it's
just
always
let the
been.
councilman talk for this. For
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You do what you want, it just seems like, to me, there's a lot of,
And I agree with you,
whatever.
but
I'm not even,
we're gonna be
But
switching
it doesn't
things.
always it doesn't always get where people don't trust the other people, then you're singling somebody out.
Well, we understand. Everybody understands, both
Yeah.
sides. He understands also.
No, he doesn't.
And
It's
down
whatever
the
he wants
road,
to.
we're also
It's
gonna,
not whatever I want, Pam.
It is.
I just, there's an obvious bias in my department lately ever since I got into it with you and with certain other things.
No,
And it just keeps
No.
growing.
don't even go there.
you guys,
Okay.
we need to quit being personal about everything. This is our decision as a town board, we already discussed it. If we wanna have more talk about it, it's up to you guys, if not, I need a motion and a second for a resolution.
I mean, Courtney started this with how many days? So that's a discussion point too. I mean, my thought was Will versus May was it keeps it streamlined across the board. I get Courtney's point, is 3 days enough? I think his question is, do you want to make it 4 or 5 so somebody's got the flu after 3 days doesn't have to go to the doctor? I think that's kind of where he started this.
Right.
I think his other point, I think what he and Mike are doing sort of makes sense, is giving supervisors a little bit of leeway knowing their employees. But the problem is leeway turns into the appearances of favoritism and those kind of things also. So that's why the will policy makes sense. The number of days you want to impose for, that's up to you guys as a board and the town to figure out. That was my thought with Will versus May, was
Right.
so that there can't be, not proponents of favoritism, they can't look like favoritism or those kind of things. How many days you require, or under what circumstances would you require, or no? You don't necessarily need to figure that out now. You can, maybe there's things you want to think about when you will require it with a number of days. Is that, if it's a spouse or an in-home relative that's sick, would that be different than if you're a sick person? I mean, there's ways you can work on this and not make it as strict as this, I think, seems to some people, but I think having a policy that's enforceable, so all the employees know what it is, and all the supervisors, I think that takes some gray area out of the supervisor's life, which makes their life easier in the long run once everybody knows what's going on. It doesn't have to be this exact policy, that was never my intent.
Okay.
My intent was make it a policy that's enforceable and clear across the board for everybody, so every supervisor knows X number of days or X circumstance requires no, I can't say yes or no to it, you, Mr. Employee, have to do this, it's in the handbook.
I agree, because same with if your wife is sick and you have to stay home to take care of her, or her mother or something, and you're staying home to take care of her 3 days, how do you get a doctor's note? You have to have her doctors write a note for you saying, hey, I just stay home and help my mother,
Which most doctors are willing to do if you do that. They could also get a degree.
I'm sure they would, yeah.
Right, but I mean, it's still the burden of going to get it done.
But when your department head knows that's what you're doing, he shouldn't have to say, hey, you bring in a note, I don't believe you, or, when they know.
And some of
Because
the
we have
stuff-
trustworthy employees that we do have.
And personally, I think it's time, maybe we get a committee together, go through the handbook, because we're doing a lot of changes recently. There's the license change, there's the comp time change, there's this.
Yep.
I know there's been a question in the past about something, how it is worried about pay with a holiday that needs to go. I mean, maybe it's time somebody goes through,
Well, we are doing it piece by piece, so, yeah.
The next one we're gonna look at is the comp time too, that Mike asked us about, to go from 60 to 80 back, because, I mean, so.
And Mike, is it your thought that sick time or a chunk of it should be paid out at the end of it?
Well, I'd ask that because
Save having a part-time.
Darryl and Keith and I know Chad with his department, they were all, even Chad when he worked with me, their sick was at the max. But they weren't, they were good employees, always showed up.
What I thought of that is, I think that makes sense.
So there's no reward.
But not to saddle the employer with a huge chunk. Allow X number of days to be carried over to the next year to a certain amount and pay out what's not used at the end of each year. So you're not paying somebody out for 6 months at a time, because that's hard to budget. But you can always have in the bank, 56 days, 56 days. If you accrue 12 a year and you don't use them, you get paid out for that 12 that year, you keep your 50. That way your budgeting is a heck of a lot easier than somebody that's retired with 6 months worth of sick days, that now you're already an astronomical check to.
And the state does the same thing.
Right.
Excellent.
That makes a
There's a
lot more
cutoff
sense.
with it to
What you
keep it
can
off.
have in your bank, what you can carry over, and what you can get paid out for every year. I mean, that's to me is a more economical and fair way to budget it too. I mean, 100, 250 sick days, I mean, I know people that have retired with that now that either take their last 4 months off or get paid for that. That's not, it's not a great thing for an employer to have to deal with either when it comes up, so.
Right.
The issue we
Yeah,
ran
just can't
into
replace
with Mike, when Darryl was, Mike, if we had a snowstorm, all of a sudden Darryl was not there for 2 years, or 2 days, and then we, we're short on the snowplowing crew.
But Darryl would come in.
Yeah, that was the concern at the time.
Yeah.
fully again,
Why don't we
your
table
department
this?
had to make sure things aren't getting abused.
Tune it up a little bit better.
So, Randy, I got a point. So, I was just kind of listening to Matt. So, what if someone has a serious illness, cancer, or they have something else? You're saying you can only keep so much sick time?
Well, that's one way to do it, for budgeting purposes, right? So, say you're here a lot, you carry, I don't, it doesn't matter what the number is, 50,
Sure.
75 days in a bank. The thought is if you get paid out for those extra sick days every year, put it somewhere. Don't, like, budget for the worst case scenario for your life so that, you know, there's way, the other side is an employee that's never sick, never takes it out, retires with 7 months of sick time, you're paying that employee,
Yeah.
you know, 2/3 of a year's salary like that without necessarily being able to budget for that coming into that year. So there's no right way to do it, it depends kind of how, I think the state does it in a way that kind of
Yeah,
makes it a
but
little
they have
bit
a
more
pool of people you can
You got
cover
sick
that
bank you can pull
versus
from
the
here.
departments here, you start doing that, that's
Yeah,
a whole.
yeah.
But you know, Matt, you're paying for it either way. I mean, if
You're
it-
paying just
Pay for it one
paying
way or
it.
the other.
It's a budgeting thing, for a town this size, it's just a budget.
But.
Plus it gives someone on both sides.
Yep.
Town's covered, then at least the employees get something too.
Yep.
But you and I had said too, that not necessarily the full amount. We
Yeah,
talked
and I
about that.
know, you know, when we talked to the old group, I had it, you know, if you were only gonna pay out half the dollar amount, they're just gonna take the day off, they're not
Right,
gonna
right,
point blank, and I don't blame them, I
No.
wouldn't either.
I know.
So, whether you extend, the days out like Courtney's talking, I'm not, you know, then they can use some of it. Instead of buying it, you know, either way, to me,
Okay, let's finish with this first, you guys.
there
right?
definitely should be a way to reward those guys that don't.
So what are we doing on
I'd
this?
like to make a motion to table this so we can rewrite it and word it a little differently, so everyone's in more of agreement with it.
Okay, so Craig made the motion.
I'll second.
Mel second, any other discussion?
The only thing is we need to do.
We need to get something
Soon,
in
no,
place
Craig,
regardless.
because-
Yeah, we'll have it
Because
ready by next
It's
week.
not the maybe, not the maybe you need one, you will need one. We just gotta figure if it's 3 or 4 days or 5 days the max, or if
Yeah.
it's 4 days or 3 days. But there's need to be something in place because of the issue of somebody might be required it, someone might not be required it, this way everyone's
We better
required.
be.
And do we have to make a better definition of sick leave, if you, even though you're not the sick person, but you're staying home for somebody else that's sick?
I believe there is a.
I think there's a
provision.
definition.
There is.
I think there is a definition in there. Okay,
I haven't read that part either.
Okay, I'm sorry, tabled by Craig.
second by Mel,
Uh,
all in
Thanks.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for bringing that up, Courtney, we'll see if we can tune it up.
Seasonal, oh wait, back to number 8. Got the other one now. I need a new motion and a new second for number 8.
I'll make that motion.
Agency, Mel,
I'll second.
Derek,
A resolution declaring the intent of the town board of Peru to act as lead agency in the town of Peru water system improvements project. Whereas the town of Peru is proposing the town of Peru water system improvements project located in the town of Peru, Clinton County, New York, and whereas the project has been classified as a type 1 action as defined by the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, and 6 NYCR Part 617.4. Whereas it is the intent of the town of Peru board to assume the role of lead agency for purposes of conducting the SEQR SCRP assessment of the project. And whereas Part 1 of a full environmental assessment form has been completed, reviewed by the town of Peru Town Board, and will be circulated to all interested and involved agencies for purposes of establishing the town of Peru Town Board as lead agency in accordance with 6 NYCRR Part 617.6 parentheses B. Now therefore be it resolved to determine that the supervisor of the town of Peru is authorized to sign Part 1 of the FEAF on page 13, and is further resolved to determine that the town of Peru will send said Part 1 of the FEAF and associated site figures to the attached list of interested and involved agencies under cover of a notice of intent to establish lead agency letter for purposes of establishing lead agency status under SEQR SCRP, and it is further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Peru and the town board, together with the town of Peru attorney and Barton and Guidas, are hereby authorized to take all action, serve all notices, and complete all documents required to give full force and effect to this determination, and be resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
any discussion? Roll call, Diane.
Mr. McDonald?
Here, yes.
Mr. Irwin?
Yes.
Mr. Ducat?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas? And Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Let's make sure.
Let's have fun.
Okay, So number 10, I need a motion and a second to hire a seasonal labor. Seeing the other one only lasted about 3 weeks.
No, 2.
2 weeks, actually.
I think.
I need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Craig,
Second.
second by Jim Douglas. Any discussion?
Nope.
I can actually vote on this one.
Are you sure?
It's no relative. That's why I didn't vote last time.
A resolution authorizing the hire of David R. Bichon as a seasonal full-time laborer for the Water Sewer Parks Department, whereas the town board has agreed to hire a new seasonal full-time laborer is necessary for the effective operation through Water Sewer Parks Department, following the recommendation of Town Water and Sewer Superintendent Gordon Tatro. Be resolved that David Bichon be hired as a full-time laborer for the town of Peru at an hourly rate of pay to be $17.24, with a start date of April 23, 2024, and be resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Any discussion? Probably the last one we have to do. Roll call.
Mr. Irwin,
Yes.
Mr. Ducat,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes, I
and
vote.
Mr. Bruno.
Yes.
What was that last name again?
Bichon, B-E-S-H-O-N.
Thank you.
Okay. We're down to other business already. Eric?
Everything's good, we're working that out, you got a hold of them and on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Everything else we're working on, hopefully finding a good spot for a well. That's about it.
Jim?
Okay.
Diane?
Oh, my world's wonderful. Living the dream.
Liz sent out an email to me and Courtney. I sent it to Pam today when I got the email from Friday afternoon. Our water survey that went around, she's also thinking the sewer one's going to come in around the same amount, obviously, because they both went in. It actually came in under what we needed for hardship for the 0% interest.
Oh, pretty good.
It's at 56,000. We had to stay under 60,000. It's 56,000. She's thinking the sewer should come in at the same rate, you know, obviously. So that's good news. Really,
Huge,
really,
huge.
really good news. 0% hardship interest. So that helped by getting a nice letter out there from Liz. John informing people on, you know, about the letter, and Liz explaining the letter very good, saying we don't collect any information. So it came in good.
Good.
I'm good.
No.
Just trying to finish up the front of Hayward building and slow progress forward.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Sure.
Just one thing, Mr. Ryan, I know you were at the meeting, so again, I'm pleading that we have, if we can get people to sit on either the zoning board or planning board. I think the planning board is okay, with the zoning board, we're having difficulty. The other day, we had a gentleman come in from New Haven, Connecticut for a meeting, and it was scrambling to make sure we had a full board. It's really tough, you know. We have 5 members, but we need at least one alternate on that board, because it's just, you know.
Yeah, they had 3 there of the 5.
Yeah, we had one emergency, a medical emergency, and then somebody else. Yeah, it's just hard. It's really hard. So, but you know, it'd be pretty difficult to. Again, we had somebody come from New Haven, Connecticut, 4 or 5 hour, and to have them sit there and say, "Geez, I'm sorry, we don't have a quorum." You know, that's a pretty difficult situation. So.
We're good on the planning board though, right? We have that.
Yeah, we have one alternate, and we have a full member of the planning board. But again, it's difficult. You know, it's.
But nobody on the planning board wants to swoop down? Can they double dip?
I don't think so. No.
I don't think it's a good idea.
No.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a big conflict if you.
But
Just volunteers.
again,
I know, but
you know,
you don't like something.
if you know anyone that has any interest serving on it, please step forward, just send us a letter, and we'll.
Mr. Ryan found this morning. Thank you.
Well, I think an appeal from
Oh, there you go.
the board, written up by the board, the supervisor would help too, rather than just me.
Putting it out there, yep.
Okay. That's it, thank you.
Thanks, Chuck, Bob.
Tyler.
Guys are chipping away at brush still from the last windstorm, fixing a couple lawns in the village. Big improvement from last year, even with a couple new guys that were running around. I know Mike's got a pretty hefty list for us to work on coming up, so guys are trying to get stuff done in the shop, plus juggle the outside work. We got trucks to get serviced and stuff, so they're busy. We're all busy.
Good.
Good. Else? Ella? Thank you.
So our history chats, our first one's scheduled for May 13th in the back room there. We have 5 people committed to coming in, and John is going to film them. So we will, that'll be kind of exciting and fun, and anyone who's around is welcome to sit in. We have questions that we're going to ask them, and we hope that it will stimulate some great conversation. The other thing is the Babby Museum is opening May 18th and 19th, and my office has been asked to help with a one-room schoolhouse exhibit, which I will. The other thing is I'm making a presentation on the history of Peru at their opening. So
What time's your meeting on the 13th here?
it's 10
10
to 11:30.
10
Yep.
through 11:30. Anything else? Courtney?
The other thing, the bathrooms at Hayworth, again, we gotta make a decision on that, what we're gonna do. I know Liz, I think, reached out to us.
Yep.
Billy Jones gives out a lot of money for that stuff, kind of, if you reach out to him, but again, we gotta pick the design, so then we can do the RFQ for the engineer.
Okay.
But yes, Billy Jones and Liz can do she will send out a letter and all that kind of stuff and do the grant stuff for that. If we're just go by the plans that we originally had, or that Helen has the set of, right, the original ones. I know we still gotta look at
Can we
plumbing
go
and
by
see if it's exactly the way we
I have
want
some
to stay.
email if you guys want, I gave them to Eric when he asked for them. I can send them to
The
everybody.
sooner the
You
better.
guys can look them over and see if you want
The
to
sooner
stick
the
with
better
it.
that we get that, because Billy's office always has something, you know, like, sands grant and stuff like that we got, you know, for the property.
Should go in and think about
Need to get a
making
group
sure
of
we're
people
making
there.
the right move, that we're, if we do
Pick the
go
plan.
bigger, or whatever, we're set up.
Was it one of our engineers?
Looks
No,
nice.
it
Be
was
able
a
to expand.
company
Yeah, you know,
that-
not-
it was that consulting company that hired, I think, out of Syracuse.
But we were gonna have to get
It
an
might have been
engineer,
the comprehensive committee that did it.
we'd have to get an engineer involved, Phil, right? But,
Right, but if you want
Start
to
the
stick
process,
with
yeah.
the original design,
It would be,
then you could do the RFQ and just give that
Okay.
out, I would assume, and they could.
and Liz says she'll
Make
send an
that work.
RFQ out, because if we don't send the RFQ out, like Liz said, and we talked about last meeting, if the RFQ does not go out, us down the road cannot get grant money for the
Yeah,
building,
We'll
so
definitely dig into
Liz
it.
says she would do that for
Thank
us,
you.
the RFQ.
We can go over and take some measurements, see what it looks like.
Yeah, we need to group of people down there, plans in hand, map it out.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody agrees they just want to stick with what the comprehensive plan did, then
Does that work? I haven't looked at it, does that work for the 2 bathrooms that we had designed?
it's got 2 bathrooms on one end, a reception. I mean, that whole thing has an elevator building on the end. And
Stuff we can address
but
later.
I did look at it the other day, it does have the mechanical room addressed on the 2nd floor. Some conference rooms.
Cool.
At least, if you agree to that and you just want to stick with the 2 bathrooms, then I don't see why we couldn't give that to an engineer and then they could measure it and see how everything works. You come up with actual blueprints.
Sounds like it works for me, without even looking at it.
I'll email it to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
The drawing's nice.
And it would be easy to, if everyone agrees, that would be easy to send to Liz, do RFQ, get it moving faster, then Billy can submit for the SANS grant or a couple other grants.
I agree, he agrees, Jim.
Yeah, again, at least we can massage it inside that same area.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Give us something to build off.
Yeah.
There's enough room and the plumbing chases straight up too, so.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
Mike,
Over the weekend, we lost, we had partial collapse of Sullivan Road, which is west of Remelard's house, between Telegraph and Arthur Road. We currently have it plated with barrels and got some cones. So it's good for the public right now. It's a project we can do ourselves, but it happened during the weekend. Nobody called us, so this morning let us know. So it's a public, something like that. Luckily, it's a back road, not a lot of traffic. But they were running with the heavy tankers, either Brentwood or Adirondack. I don't know who, but could have been.
Is there a culvert there?
Yeah, it's galvanized, and galvanized, you can get 5 years now. I don't know, galvanized twice.
Pat, gonna be able to get around it one way or the other? Or is it
It's plated right now. I am using flowable fill, so it's basically dig it. Once I get the dig safe in, once I get that back, we're gonna pull the excavator out of Cook Road. We'll do that, and it's flowable fill, so we just dig a load of the dirt out, flowable fill. Back, we're gonna add 10 feet of length on it to get it off road a little more. So and we got the pipe, so it's cost-wise, it's not gonna be that bad. It just wasn't a project that was planned. The other thing is I called our lift company, we were due for our annual inspection, and the part of the lift is not working. That's when the park is when the vehicle is up in the air and it doesn't hold. They came out, it's all rotted. I'm waiting for the quote. I talked to Jim about it last week. It's going to be north of $15,000 for the parts, then the labor, and then they're going to red tag it in the air. It's done. It's just completely rotted out. Their lifespan are 20 years with the salt and everything, salt pan that's been on that. It's shot. So at the same time, they're going to quote me for the portable sets to put in, which will be in the 25 budget. Even if we order today, they're 8 months out to even get them. So I was hoping to get a quote for the next couple, one of the upcoming meetings. Like I said, I'll put it in the budget, and it'll be in the 25 budget, and then I'll probably, if I can get you permission to pre-order them, because we're not.
What do you mean by portable?
What's that?
What do you mean by portable?
They're portable. They would go against the wall, and then you pull them out, and you can put the truck and you use them anywhere in the garage. They tie together with a wire, and you run them with a remote.
Okay.
So you don't have to dig the floor up, nothing. So we would cut the cylinders off of the one we got, fill it full of concrete. So we'll have to build a little catch basin, because we do have a sump pump that's down in that, you can wash there, there's a drain there. So we'll work with something we can do ourselves. So the portables are, Town of Plattsburgh just went to that a couple years ago. They had a lift like ours, and when theirs rotted, the truck come off the rack. Come off. Luckily, the guy just got out from underneath them. So before we get to that point, but I'll have some options for you. Talking with Jim, it's not worth putting the money in it if they're going to red tag it next year.
That'll make much sense.
He thought it'd probably be 60 or 70,000, but I don't want to waste 15,000. So the lift is going to be out for probably close to a year.
Perfect.
So that's pretty much what I got. Like Tyler said, I rubbed down, pulled all the stumps and stuff for the temporary road. Down at Cook Road, the crane pad is built, the temporary road is built up to the brook. The pipes are sitting there, water down, and depending on what happens on the dig safe on Cook Road, if that doesn't happen this week, because the first few I've had dig delays, because they're busy right now. Construction starting on marking everything. Then I'll put those pipes in and get the temporary road done. I want to get out of there before Garrow starts. I did meet with Garrow. The structure is all built at pre-camp, so it's sitting there. It's just whenever Garrow wants it delivered. So we're ready to roll. And there is I got 32 or 33 projects ahead of them right now. Tyler's right. I got a lot of work for them. That's one thing we found with the salt reduction. We're not sweeping that 5-6 weeks. We can do other projects, but these other projects cost money, so we're gonna balance it out when we're, without going crazy, but.
Yeah,
I
do
could
whatever
put
you
culvert-
can, man.
I could put culvert in every day,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Good enough? Thank you. Thank you. Pam?
I just want to say that I'm appalled that Mr. Tatro would actually accuse me in a public forum of being biased against his department and that he questions my integrity. I'm following the handbook. So, I asked for an apology before and I didn't get it. I want one now.
Anything else?
No.
Anything else, anyone? Other business? Okay. I need a motion for resolution, or I'm sorry, public comments on agenda items only. Already passing that. Anyone?
Nope.
Okay, number 13, I need a motion and a second to pay 2024 bills. I need a motion and a second for the resolution.
Motion, second?
Jim made a motion, correct, second resolution.
A resolution authorizing the post-audit payment of certain claims, bills, and invoices of the town, whereas the town board has reviewed and audited the following claims, bills, and invoices for services rendered and goods provided to the town in March to April 2024. From Town Peru vouchers for March, April 2024, number 202400520, through and including number 202400586, abstract dated April 19, 2024, for the dollar amount totaling $112,988.51. Of that, $17,082.25 was wired, credit cards, and prepaid, and $95,906.26 is remaining to be paid for April 2024. Whereas the town board finds said claims, bills, and invoices to be acceptable form or reasonable amount, now therefore be resolved that payment of the aforementioned claims, bills, and invoices is approved, with the supervisor being hereby is authorized to make such payment, and being further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Bingo.
Roll call.
Okay, Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Duquette?
Yes.
Mr. Irwin?
Yes.
Mr. Duquette, or no, Mr. Douglas and Mr. Brown?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I will apologize for all the personal stuff that went back and forth for that. It should have been a simple discussion. We need to stop bringing personal stuff into our meetings from everybody, anywhere, shape, and form, and directed towards someone personally. It was a simple discussion. We should have stayed on topic of what we were discussing instead of everyone getting personal. I will apologize for everything that was said personal from everybody. I need a motion to
Are
adjourn.
we going into executive session?
Do you want it?
Are we gonna talk about pooling the time? We were talking about
Mike brought it up about going from 60 to 80, which we discussed.
No,
that.
not that. I thought we were gonna pool all our big sick
I have
time,
no idea
personal
what you're talking
time.
about that at all.
No, okay.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Does anyone else? I haven't heard of that. I heard of Mike.
Yeah, you were at you were at
Oh, okay, I was on
It was
vacation.
some Matt brought it up.
Okay, yeah. Do you guys want to talk about it here or later, or table until next meeting? What do you?
I don't know what you guys want. I'll do whatever you guys want.
We could discuss it for 5 minutes real quick.
Okay. You guys want to talk about it in executive?
No, I don't think we have to talk
I don't
about
think it's executive
Really
session
about
material.
pooling the
I don't
time.
think so.
We're just not quite sure how we go about it.
Yeah, I mean, one way you can do it too is to get away from all the different types of time, sick time, personal time, or whatever it is, and just say, we have X number of days, use them however you want to use them.
Yeah.
That's one option, that makes, I mean,
Is that comp time?
just anything, whatever, you get, comp time's different because that's something you earn as you go along. I mean, like, a year employee, you start the year, whatever it is, 2 weeks of sick time, a week of personal time, and a breather day potentially. Just make it, don't put parameters on how somebody can use their time off if they want to. It's a benefit that's accrued, it's a benefit. Let an employee potentially use it however he or she wants. You go that way, that takes care of, that gets rid of a lot of the potential nuances you have with people taking days off and wanting to ask reasons for it or not. And then you figure out how much of that you can carry over, how much you may be paid for at the end of the year. Everybody's on the same playing field that way. I mean, time is time. Should it be, if you're gonna take a vacation or you get sick, time is time. The town is still paying that employee to be at home and not be at work and not be broke. It doesn't matter what the reason is. It's, it's a benefit to the employee to use it however he or she wants. It's good for the town to know you've got X number of days that they're gonna use that year. You don't have to worry about all the red tape and the nonsense of it, why somebody's out or why they're not out. There's a lot of benefit to that, there's probably some detriment to it that I haven't fully thought through, but that's a discussion that's probably worth having, because it would potentially stop a lot of the problems that are being run into here. The second half of that is, as Bob said with sick time, you let somebody bank a bunch of sick time, there's a benefit to that to the employee, to guard against getting a catastrophic injury where you're out of work for 6 months and you're not getting paid. If you have it all as one chunk of time, what do you do with that and how do you do it? So you have to really think it through and do it. But there's ways to make some of this, I think, a lot easier than it has become. A lot of different employment agencies are running into this now, especially with big groups of employees that basically want to say, if it's benefit, I should get to use it however I want. You shouldn't tell me I can't take a day off. You know, and then the question is, you use your sick day. Well, how sick do you have to be? Is it just a headache? Is it a cold? Is it flu? Is it what constitutes sick? Why keep into that? You don't have to. Just a day is a day. Use it.
Is his wife really sick? I mean, then
because then there's a whole other topic of, can I take a day for a mental health day, which is as important as a physical health day. Sometimes you need a day just to not be at work and decompress, right? What's the difference between that and using it as a sick day or a personal day? Why should there be a difference? A day is a day.
So that's what we switched everything to. That's how I do it.
Gives people a lot more privacy and leeway.
It's certain amount of time put in and use it and what's left over.
Right.
We allow them to roll at least a third of it to the following year.
Retires.
But not to exceed the third, because I got such a small group of us, it
They
just.
get paid for their vacation time.
Well, that's my point.
You gotta put a limit.
That's my
You
point.
have to put a limit.
Why should there be a difference? If it's a benefit you accrue, you should get paid for it if you don't use it. So make it all one pool, but then you have to cap how much
You gotta
carry
cap
over.
it,
Right.
because if not, you could go.
Carry over.
I like that idea.
Carry over X amount gets paid out every year for the rest.
Way easier.
So why don't we spitball this, you guys, for the next couple of weeks with each other, you know, just talk about it, and then we can.
You should have 2 board members and department heads meet to talk about this. Talk about closing counselor.
What do you think about that?
Why is it?
Always
We're
solve a
doing
lot of
here.
issues, right?
Both of you can go. Yeah, works way better for us.
Yeah, exactly, because people will abuse it, so.
And then if we, you know, if we get it composed, then you'll look at it, Matt, and give your.
Certainly. So who wants to work with Mike and Courtney?
I do.
Craig and who?
I'll give it.
Eric?
Eric? No, go ahead. No, if you want to use it, then that's fine.
Craig and Eric, you guys will work.
Yep, sit down.
Courtney and Mike,
Get it ironed out.
and then let Phil Pam in see
Yep, absolutely.
what's going on.
Then you have to figure out if you put it into effect, what do you do with people that are on the books now that have a certain amount of time accrued in there, and you certainly can't penalize them for changing the policy going forward. So you have to figure out how to, really have to look at each employee probably and figure out how these new policies may affect employees on the books that have sick time, whatever time's accrued and what to do with it. There'll be some grandfathering.
Cycle.
Yep.
And we are gonna have to put a cap, because as we know, you get some employees that have been here a long time before, like Garrow was one of them, like Hamlin was another one. They had thousands of hours, thousands.
Well, the most we can accumulate in sick is 1320.
Yeah, 1,320.
And you can, if you're at that, you build it throughout the year. If you don't use it, you use it at the end of the year. So it's a good insurance policy if anything ever happens to you.
Yeah, right.
Obviously.
So have that discussion and,
Perfect.
okay, anything else today at all?
Nothing, I'm taking a motion to adjourn.
Craig made a motion to adjourn.
I'll say.
Second by Mel, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.